Today we're going to look at a really fun melodic technique that helps you carve out little niches, little notches in your tune to give it a little something unique. Okay, I'm calling this leaping into half-step heaven because we have this fun way of leaping and then following the leap with a half-step, sometimes in the key signature, other times not in the key signature. So let's take a look. So this is hymn 114, Come Unto Him. You may not know this hymn. It's not a super common one, but you may have heard it. Okay, so you see the bracket in red there on the word solitude. This is our first example of a chromatic leap, and then a half step out of it. So what do I mean by chromatic? I mean, well, not in the key signature. See, this C sharp does not fit the key signature. So the melody in C major, start on the 5th scale degree, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, and then 3, 4, and then it leaps, big leap to sharp 1. But it's like, oh, now what do I do? Sharp 1, well, sharp 1 resolves up to 2. So 4, sharp 1, 2. Okay, so when you take a chromatic leap like this, then you step out of it with the half step going that direction. That's the good, typical kind of way to resolve this. All right. So instead of just doing that as a one-off, this composer makes it a thing in the piece. In the very next measure, we get another one. So that measure on solitude, sharp 1, 2, and then it leaps up, 6, 5, sharp 2, 3. So we get another one right here. We do a chromatic leap down a diminished 4th, and then a half step out of it. Another way to think about this is, if you're going along in your melody, and you're like, I wish I could find a fresh note. Because that's what we're constantly looking for, a fresh note to keep the attention of the listener. And if you're struggling to find a fresh note, this can be a great way. You may be stuck on the 5th scale degree and like, where should I go? Well, you could go to a chromatic note like this D sharp, and when you do, just resolve it the opposite direction by half step. And then it sounds natural, like it belongs. Okay, so that's the other way to think about this. Well, let's keep going because they're not done yet. We get our third one right here. 7th scale degree, sharp 4, 5. Every time it steps up in the opposite direction. And then another one, also on, this is our 4th one, also on starting on the 7th scale degree, but now leaping all the way from 7th scale degree down to sharp 2nd scale degree and then up. All right, and then right after another one, 1st scale degree, sharp 4, 5. Every time it hits the chromatic note and it resolves by step in the opposite direction. Okay, how many is that now? That's 1, 2, 3. That's a 4, not a 21. 4, 5. Number 6. The tenors join the fun. 1, 7, 1, sharp 5, 6. Right? You might as well, if you have like an identifying kernel, like we're doing here with these leaps to a chromatic note and stepping in the opposite direction, why let the sopranos have all the fun? You might as well have another one of your voices do something similar to keep that motive alive, to make it part of the piece. All right, that's the 6th, and that's the last of the chromatic ones. Now, in blue, I've marked where the composer uses the same technique, except it's not done chromatically. It's done diatonically, because in every major scale, there are 2 half steps, all right, between the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 1st scale degrees. We have a whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Okay, so in every major key, between the 3rd and 4th scale degree, there's a half step. And between the 7th and 8th scale degree, there's a half step. So, since this technique relies on half steps so much, it just happens that they're chromatic half steps, you could use the same technique with a diatonic half step, which is what happens here. So we're on the G, and then we leap to the E, and we step out of it chromatically. Da, 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 da. Okay, so it doesn't have quite the freshness as the chromatic one, but it's still the same motive. So it's interesting to just note that the composer uses the motive in chromatic ways and diatonic ways. So there's our first diatonic, at least in the melody. We have, where's the others? Here we go. At the end, we get that same exact one, G, E, F, and then one last one, 2, 7, 8, or 2, 7, 1. Okay, so we leap to a half step in the opposite direction. A very fun, very characteristic little melodic leap that becomes a thing. So if you're stuck in a corner with your tune, you're looking for a fresh note, you're not sure what to do, try leaping to a chromatic note. It's best if you leap down to the chromatic note and then step up in the opposite direction. Sometimes you can leap up to a chromatic note. Usually, well, it depends. If it's a flatted chromatic note you're leaping to, if you had to flat that note, then you're going to want to resolve down afterwards. But if you're leaping to a sharped note and you're going up in the leap, then you want to resolve in the same direction. Like if you're going C up to F sharp, that wants to go up. But if you're going C, A flat, that A flat wants to come down. Okay? So that's the basic principle there. All right, if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get a notification every time I post a new video here. And if you'd like some more free tips, head over to latterdaymusiversity.com where you can get my free 24-page report, How to Write Great, Warm, Fuzzy LDS Church Music, the 10 Commandments of Writing Warm, Fuzzy, Testimony-Building LDS Church Music. All right, come back tomorrow, and we're going to look at hymn 115. See you then.